A rich lady booked into one of the best hotels in the city. When she got her key, she noticed that her bags had been stolen.
Oh no!
The police interrogated 3 main suspects. Mr. Kramer said, "I'm going to see my friends now. I've spent the day in my room." Mrs. Harrelson said, "I wouldn't steal anything. I'm rich." Mr. Scott said, "I've been walking my dog and have just returned. I know nothing about it." Who is the criminal? Have you noticed the sign, "No pets allowed," on the hotel door? This hotel has a no pets policy, so Mr. Scott couldn't walk his dog. They wouldn't have checked him in with one. Riley is studying abroad and has a boyfriend her family doesn't know about. Her parents don't approve of dating until she graduates. Riley spent the semester break with her boyfriend on his family's farm, but she told her parents that she had been in New York with her friends. When her mother asked for photos, Riley photoshopped herself into one of her friend's photos. When her mom saw the photos, she understood that Riley had lied. How? Look, Riley is the only person in the photo who doesn't have a reflection in the mirror behind. This is what gave her away. Mrs. Brown is the owner of an apartment building with a no-pet policy. Not even fish are allowed. One night she hears a dog barking on the floor above her apartment. The next day she inspects 2 apartments upstairs. In which apartment does the dog live? Look, there is a dog leash hanging in this apartment. It must be the one. Even after the tenant with the dog had moved out, Mrs. Brown kept hearing some barking. She thought it was phantom noises, but a week later she decided to check 2 more apartments. Take a close look at them and try to figure out if a dog lives one of them. Yes, a dog lives in this apartment. Look, there is a dog hair all over the bed. Jane came home from school, looking forward to eating her favorite waffles she had prepared in this morning. Unfortunately, someone had eaten half of them. Furious, she questioned 2 people in the house, her friend and her dad. Both of them were sitting at the kitchen table. Both denied having touched her food. Who lied? Her father lied. Look, there are waffle crumbs in his mustache. Alice participated in a game show and she won 3 exclusive gifts. A Dolce & Gabbana wallet, a backpack from Dior, and a Tesla. But here is a catch. She is to pick her presents herself by choosing between the original and the replica. Can you help her pick the correct prizes? Here are 2 Dolce & Gabbana wallets. One of them is the original, and the other is a replica. Which one should Alice choose? This one, it has the correct logo, so it must be the original. Now look at these seemingly identical backpacks. Only one of them is the original Dior bag. Which one? This one. This logo is correct. And finally, the car. Let's see if you remember the Tesla logo. Yes, this is the one. Great job! Daniela graduated from FBA Academy and applied for a job at several secret agencies. She got an acceptance letter from one of them, but it didn't contain any instructions. In the end, there was a number. She tried to call it, but it turned out it didn't exist. Take a look at the acceptance letter. Can you help Daniela figure it out? It's a secret message, of course, and figuring it out is one of the tasks. Daniela should pay attention to the highlighted words. Then, from each of them, she should take the letter that corresponds with the number at the bottom of the page. If she does it, she'll see small lake at 11. Daniela got the job, and now she's on her first case. Amelia's cat was stolen, and she asked Daniela to find it. Daniela paid a visit to several neighbors and questioned them. Jake said, "I have 2 dogs. I wouldn't steal a cat." Mike said, "I don't like animals, so I'd never get a pet." And Jessica said, "I'm not even allowed to have pets in this apartment." Who stole Amelia's cat? Have you noticed a cat house in Mike's apartment? Why does he have it if he doesn't like pets? He must be the catnapper. Another day, another crime. Daniela was following a shoplifter who had stolen an expensive purse from a Louis Vuitton store. Suddenly, the criminal entered a hospital and disappeared into the crowd. Daniela went inside. She saw 3 visitors. One of them must be the shoplifter pretending to be a patient. Can you tell who it is? It must be this woman. That young woman is pregnant, and this one is wearing high heels, so she wouldn't have been able to run fast. On Monday morning, a big sum of money went missing from the accountant's safe, and Daniela arrived to investigate. She had 3 suspects. John said, "I was in my office all morning because I needed to do some urgent work." Elizabeth said, "I was drinking my morning coffee in the cafeteria and answering emails." And Julia said, "I was in my office finishing some tasks I didn't have time to do yesterday." Who should be Daniela's main suspect? Julia. She mentioned some tasks left from the day before, but it was Sunday. Daniela was spending her Sunday in a theme park when she heard 2 people arguing. It turned out they were arguing over the car keys left in the park's lost and found. Both were claiming them. Take a close look at them and decide who the keys really belong to. The guy is blind, so the car keys must belong to this woman. Daniela stayed in the park, and she had to crack some more cases that day. She needs your help, so have a look. Another lost and found item is this iPhone. Who do you think it belongs to? This girl's phone is in her pocket, so the iPhone most likely belongs to the other woman. And the last item is a Louis Vuitton purse. 2 girls are claiming it, but who is the rightful owner? Look, the purse has a keychain with the name Ella. It's the name of the girl on the right. At least that's what her name tag says, so the purse must belong to her. Ned works in a club. His job is to check people's ID cards and not to let any suspicious people in. Take a look at these IDs and figure out who isn't supposed to enter the club. So here's the first one. What would you say about this man? Don't let him in. The man was born on the 3rd of February, but this date doesn't even exist. It must be a fake ID. Okay, here's the next candidate. What's your verdict? He seems fine. He can come in. Okay, here's the next guest. In or out? What do you think? she seems fine for me. Okay, next. Luke, what is your decision regarding this one? Look, in the picture the woman has a birthmark on her cheek, but in reality she doesn't have any. That's suspicious. Don't let her in. Okay, another one for you. Look, the city isn't specified here. It just says Nevada. It's not what other IDs look like. So this one must be fake. I wouldn't let her in. And what about this girl? Would you let her in? She seems alright. Green light.
Sarah accidentally pulled a lever in a science lab and set free a group of mutant zombies. The 4 humans left in the lab needed to escape before the zombies caught up. To do so, they needed to cross an old rope bridge hanging over a massive gorge. According to the professor's calculations, the zombies would catch up with the lab team in 17 minutes. They needed to get everyone across the bridge before that. Sarah was the fastest one in the group. She could cross the bridge in 1 minute. The lab assistant, Dawn, could cross it in 2 minutes. But the janitor and the professor were way slower. The first needed 5 minutes, and the second needed 10 minutes to get to the other side. They also only had 1 lantern left. How could they arrive at the other side safely if the bridge could only hold 2 people at a time, and each group needed to carry the lantern to illuminate the way? Here's how it works. Sarah and Dawn cross the bridge first, carrying the lantern. It takes them 2 minutes. Sarah, the quickest, runs back with the lantern. Then, the professor and the janitor cross the bridge together. It takes them 10 minutes. In total, it takes 13 minutes. Dawn grabs the lantern from them and dashes across the bridge to help Sarah get across. With 2 minutes left on the clock, Sarah and Dawn get safely to the other side, just in time to cut the rope and save their lives. Helena finally got herself a new guitar. She wanted to start playing it right away, but she had to go to school. She locked the instrument in her room and left. When she got home that evening, the guitar was gone. She knew it must have been one of her family members, as they were always playing pranks on each other. So she questioned each of them. Helena's mother said she hadn't even seen the guitar the girl had bought. Her dad said he'd seen it when he'd passed by Helena's room, but swore he hadn't done anything to it. Her brother said he hadn't gone upstairs the whole day, so he hadn't seen the guitar either. Helena solved the mystery right away. Can you figure it out? Her dad is lying. He said he'd seen the guitar when passing by her room, but that would be impossible. Helena locked the door on the way out. John, Carl, and Ben are sitting on a park bench. One of them arranged to meet his 2 sisters. He promised them he would take them on a stroll in the park. Can you tell which guy it is? It's Ben. Look at his wrist. He's wearing 2 bracelets, probably made by his younger sisters. Josh was walking in a forest at night and came across an old castle. He was curious, so he found a way to sneak in and started walking down a corridor. Pretty soon, he met 3 cloaked figures. When Josh asked them who they were, they said they were 2 werewolves and 1 vampire. The trio told Josh that he had made a bad choice coming inside the castle. They said they wouldn't leave him unless Josh outsmarted them. Josh had to guess who the vampire was. According to the rules, he was only allowed to ask each of them the same question, and the question couldn't be, Are you a vampire? After a few minutes of thinking, Josh asked, "What's your eye color?" He guessed who the vampire was and was allowed to leave the castle. Why did he ask that? And how did that question help him? Vampires don't reflect in mirrors, and they don't show up in photos. The vampire probably wouldn't know their eye color. One afternoon, 4 friends met up for coffee. Someone asked them how old they were, and they answered with a riddle. They said Mia was 3 times older than Anna, but 3 years ago, Anna was younger than Claudia is now, and Olivia is twice as old as Anna. So, can you put the girls in order according to their age? The correct order is Mia, Olivia, Anna, and Claudia. Mary's birthday was coming up, and she decided to treat herself to a relaxing day at the spa. During the massage, Mary dozed off. When she woke up, the money was missing from her purse. There were 3 suspects. The cashier, Erica, claimed that she'd been having lunch at the back. Catherine, the masseuse, said, "I went to the back of the store to get some extra oil." Monica, a customer, said she hadn't seen anything and had just been waiting for her turn. What do you say, Sherlock? Who did it? The culprit is Catherine, the masseuse. She must have waited for Mary to fall asleep and then took her things. Look at the stash of money hidden behind the oils. Susanna was walking down the street when she saw a small dog. It looked as if the dog had just run away, so she picked it up and started searching for its owner. She walked into an office building. There were 3 people there. Susanna knew immediately who the dog's owner was. How did she figure it out? Look at the guy in the middle. He's sitting on a dog's leash. You've just come back from a long trip. You had to get a new suitcase to store all the things you bought. But after arriving home, you realize you've forgotten the code you need to open the suitcase. Luckily, you left yourself a note on your cell phone that can help you decipher the code on the lock. 682. 1 digit is correct and in the right place. 614. 1 digit is correct, but in the wrong place. 206. 2 digits are correct, but in the wrong place. 768. All digits are wrong. 380. 1 digit is right, but in the wrong place. What's the 3-digit code? (042). One morning, Detective Smith arrived at the jail where 3 men had escaped from their cells. The prisoners could neither see nor talk to each other. But they managed to organize their escape together. They visited the same shower room, but only one person was allowed to come in at a time. How did they manage to communicate? They wrote messages to one another on the bathroom mirror, used the steam to read them, and planned their escape together. On a Sunday morning, 7 friends went to the mall. Esme, Evelyn, and Elise grabbed a cup of coffee each, while Ava, Ella, and Emma decided to drink some refreshing soda. Can you figure out if Esther chose to drink coffee or soda? Esther is drinking coffee. The secret to figuring out the answer is in the girls' names. Esme, Evelyn, Elise, and Esther all have 2-letter E's in their names. In the afternoon, 3 people visited Tessa's clothing store. These 3 people were the only customers she had that day. The first person bought a belt and a purse. The second person bought a dress. And the third customer got a hat. One of them was a criminal, and Tessa reported them to the police immediately. Who was the criminal, and how did Tessa know? The third person gave her a $1,000 bill, but such bills don't exist. At 11 a.m., Amy got a call from her boss, Tom. He was in distress because a very important document had disappeared from his office. It had been on the desk the evening before, but nowhere to be found in the morning. Amy immediately went there to question the employees. She soon had 3 suspects. Elijah said he had spent the previous evening in the movies. Mason took his girlfriend to dinner. And Evelyn visited an art gallery. It didn't take Amy long to understand who was lying. Can you figure it out? It was Elijah. Take a close look at his ticket. It isn't torn, which means he didn't really go to the movies.
Bobby needs to crack a secret code using the following clues. One of the numbers is correct and is placed in the right place. Nothing is correct. 2 numbers are correct, but not in the needed position. 1 number is what we need, but it's not in the correct position. 1 number is okay, but not put in its right place. Have you figured it out? Let's begin with statement 2. We can exclude 0, 3, and 2 from the final code. Now, according to statement 3, we can conclude that numbers 1 and 8 are correct. Statements 1 and 4 help us to learn that 9 is in the final code, and it comes third. Now it's time to identify the right places for 1 and 8. Let's take a look at statements 3 and 5. 8 can't go third because this place is already occupied by 9, and it can't go first because it contradicts the third condition. So, the correct code is 819. Take a look at these matchsticks. There are 5 identical squares. Can you form 6 identical squares by moving just 3 matchsticks? Keep in mind that you're not allowed to let them overlap or break the matchsticks. Here's the way. Take these 3 matchsticks at the bottom and place them vertically in the center of the squares in the middle row. Voila! Now you have 6 identical squares. Several robbers locked Fred in a room. The room is almost empty. There's a piano with notes, a calendar, and a waterbed. The room is locked from the outside. Can you guess what Fred ate and drank and how he escaped from the room? To crack this riddle, you definitely need to think outside the box. Fred ate the dates on the calendar, got water from the waterbed, and used a piano key to escape. Fiona can eat 27 chocolates in an hour. Alex can eat 2 chocolates in 10 minutes. And Kitty can eat 7 chocolates in 20 minutes. How long will it take them all to eat a large box of 120 chocolates? Two hours. In 1 hour, Fiona eats 27 chocolates, Alex eats 12, and Kitty eats 21. The total is 60 chocolates. Therefore, it would take them all 2 hours to eat all 120 chocolates. I'm soft and cuddly, which soothes your heart. But if you pick my last name, I'm gonna tear you apart. What am I? I'm a teddy bear. There are 2 sand hourglasses. The small one can measure 5 hours, and the large one can measure 7 hours. How can we measure 16 hours with the help of 2 hourglasses running together? First of all, start both hourglasses at the same time. 5 hours later, flip over the small hourglass. Then wait for 2 hours and flip over the large hourglass as soon as it finishes its first 7-hour cycle. When the small hourglass finishes the second cycle, this will mean that 10 hours have passed. At this point, the large hourglass will have been running for 3 hours. So now, you should flip over both the small and large hourglasses. This way, you'll make the large hourglass run for 3 hours. When the large hourglass finishes its 3-hour cycle, this will mean that 13 hours have passed. Now, flip both the small and large hourglasses over again. When the small hourglass runs out of sand, it will mark another 3 hours. You've just measured 16 hours, and the mission is accomplished. Can you guess which color should be added to the top of this tree? The number of letters in the names of these colors gets reduced by 1 in every next row. Scarlet is made up of 7 letters. Orange and yellow have 6 letters. Green, brown, and black contain 5 letters. Gray and blue have just 4. So, the missing color should be made up of 3 letters. For example, red. Amy entered her favorite fast food place to get some fries. She saw these 4 people inside. Can you tell who's not poor? The first lady has a fake Gucci bag. This gentleman has a patch on his jacket. The third woman has threads sticking out of her suit. And the fourth guy has a bunch of expensive gadgets. So, he's definitely not poor. Take a look at these matchsticks. Can you find a way to make 3 squares by moving just 4 matchsticks? Here's the right way. The accountant says, "The attorney is my brother." But the attorney claims he doesn't have a brother. Who's lying? Neither. The accountant is his sister.
Sarah was in her hotel room when she heard a knock on the door. When she looked through the peephole, she saw a man standing outside. "Sorry for bothering you. I'm the hotel manager," he said. "Our database has crashed, and I need to recheck some information." Sarah said she would be back in a moment, got away from the door, and called the hotel security. She said there is a man trying to rob her. How did she know? Look at the man's name tag. It's a female name. He's not the real hotel manager. When Anna got to school, she noticed that her friend Joan was very upset. It was just the beginning of the day, but someone had already stolen her backpack. Joan left the classroom to go to the bathroom, and at that moment, someone must have got inside and stolen her things. Anna started her own investigation. Jenna from the robotics lab said she'd been fixing a robot that morning. Kate from the cheerleading squad had just begun her practice, and James said he'd spent 3 hours trying to solve a math problem and was now exhausted. Anna knew right away who had taken the backpack. Can you figure it out? It was James. The school day had just started. How could he have been there for 3 hours already? On a beautiful morning, Michael and Christina went on a hike. At some point, they saw a river they had to cross. Both of them needed to get to the other side. However, the boat could only make one trip back and forth and take one of them at a time. Still, both of them managed to get across. How? That's easy. They both went on a hike on the same day, but they weren't together, so they arrived at the river at the same time, but they were on the opposite banks. So after the boat took Christina to the other side of the river, Michael managed to get to the opposite bank too. At a party, there were 9 candies in a box. 9 people took 9 candies, but 1 candy was still in the box. How could that be possible? The last person took the candy that was still in the box. When the day after tomorrow becomes yesterday, then today will be as far from Sunday as the day it was today when the day before yesterday was tomorrow. Which day is it? It's Sunday. Look, the day after tomorrow becomes yesterday on Wednesday. The day before yesterday was tomorrow on Thursday. And Wednesday and Thursday are equally far from Sunday. Susanna was walking down the street when she saw a dog. It looked like the dog had just run away, so she picked it up and started searching for its owner. She walked into a co-working space. There were 3 people there. Susanna knew immediately who the owner was. How did she figure it out? Look at the guy in the middle. He's sitting on top of a dog leash. It was Brian's birthday, and he organized a game for his friends. He placed 2 cards, 1 yellow and 1 red, inside a box. The rule said that if a person picked the red card, they would win $7,000, but if they picked the yellow card, they would have to pay $700. Nobody knew that Brian had lied. He'd put 2 yellow cards inside the box instead of 1 red and 1 yellow. Brian's friend Sandra watched her friends lose the game one by one. But when it was Sandra's turn, she won $7,000. How? When it was her turn, she picked one of the yellow cards, not showing it to anyone. Then, she picked the remaining card, which was also yellow, and showed it to her friends. Brian had to admit that the first card she'd drawn and hidden was red. Otherwise, all his friends would know he was a liar. Way to go, Sandra. Amy has to escape from a high-security room, but to do so, she has to solve a riddle. There are 2 strings in the room, and the only information she has is that each string takes exactly 1 hour to burn. She needs to time exactly 45 minutes with the help of the strings. How can she do it? Amy should light both ends of the first string and one end of the second string. In 30 minutes, the first string will burn completely since it'll burn twice faster with both ends on fire. Then, she should light the second end of the second string. At that time, the second string will have 30 minutes left to burn. But by lighting its other end, Amy will make it burn in 15 minutes. Voila! 45 minutes measured. On January 1st, Devin called the police to report a crime. He said he'd gone to his neighbor's New Year's Eve party the night before. And while he was away, someone broke into his house and stole his laptop and other valuables. When the police asked about the party, Devin said it had been great. There was good food and string lights were shining brightly and beautifully. Devin added that his neighbor could have been the one to steal his things. Maybe he snuck inside the house when Devin was at his place, having fun. The police officer went to interrogate Devin's neighbor, Tom. But as soon as Tom opened the door, the officer knew he wasn't guilty. Devin was lying. How did he understand this? Look at the string lights on the tree. They're missing 3 bulbs. It means they couldn't be working the night before. Devin is lying. Matthew was on an expedition to the South Pole. He had been exploring the area for days when a storm began. Looking for shelter, he managed to find 2 caves. In the first cave, there was a very hungry-looking polar bear. In the second cave, the air was filled with toxic gas. Which cave should he choose? The first cave. Polar bears don't live at the South Pole. Jerry has an apple tree. The number of apples on his tree doubles every week. 30 weeks later, the tree is completely covered in fruit. Can you guess how many weeks the tree will need to become covered in oranges? Oranges don't grow on apple trees, but if I asked you about apples, the answer would be 29 weeks, because, as we know, the number of apples doubles every week. Nobody has ever walked this way. What way is it? The Milky Way. Dave was held in a 150-foot high tower of an ancient castle. In his cell, there was nothing other than a pair of scissors and a 75-foot long rope. Despite this, when the guards came to check on him the next morning, they saw he had managed to escape. How did he do it? He cut the rope in the middle, but rather than cutting it across, he cut it along. Then, he tied both pieces of the rope together and safely got down to the ground. Genius, huh? On the outskirts of the town, there was a haunted house. A group of friends decided to check it out. They went there at night, but as soon as they got there, one of the friends, John, refused to go inside and tried to stop the others. But they just laughed at him and went inside, leaving him behind. There were several terrible crashing sounds coming from the house. And then everything went still. John never saw his friends again. How did John understand that there was something seriously wrong with the house? John was very attentive. He noticed that there were lots of footprints leading towards the house, but none going away. Rachel was in her office when security called her, saying there was a robber in the building and he was trying to escape. She ran to the elevators to get outside. But two elevators arrived at the same time. In each of them, there was a man that looked suspicious and could be the robber. How can Rachel understand which elevator is safe to take? The one that's going up. If the robber is trying to get out of the building, his elevator will be going down. So Rachel should take the one going up. Emma came to the office on Monday and found out that someone had deleted an important report from her computer. She knew that in the company there were 3 people who would be happy if she lost her job. Emma loved reading detective novels and even wanted to become a private detective when she was younger. That's why she knew she had to question the suspects. Laura, Emma's colleague, said, "I've just arrived. Phew, the weather is awful. Such a downpour. Why are you asking me?" Thomas, the accountant, answered,
"I was out getting coffee and I just returned."
And Eliza, a new employee, said,
"I had a meeting with a client in a cafe. I've just come back to the office."
Who might have anything to do with Emma's report? Eliza. Pay attention to the suspect's feet. Thomas's and Laura's shoes are wet. They got caught in the rain, but Eliza's high heels are perfectly dry. She must have lied about going out to meet with a client. Emma found this strange. To confirm her suspicions, she decided to watch Eliza, but the very next day, the girl disappeared, along with some very important documents. Emma's boss asked her to help him return the documents. He didn't want to inform the police yet. Despite all, Emma was happy. She could fulfill her dream of becoming a detective. Eliza's computer was protected with a password. After an hour of failed attempts, Emma finally noticed a piece of paper on the floor under Eliza's desk. She picked it up.
"I'm made up of 2 words joined together. I'm a dish. My first half is a famous genre. My second part is a grain. What am I?"
The answer to this riddle might be the password, but what is it? popcorn. Emma managed to start the computer, and soon enough, she found a map with some coordinates. Time for some action. The map led her to a modern building. It was a gym. She entered and asked the receptionist about Eliza, but the woman refused to tell her anything unless she brought a guest pass. Once inside, Emma decided to explore the place. At one point, she entered the showers for ladies. She immediately realized something was off. But what exactly? See that man reflected in the window? Who is he, and what is he doing here? Emma was about to run out of the showers when everything went black. When she woke up sometime later, she realized she was in a small room without windows. There was a door with a combination lock. In her hand, she was clutching a note. Spelled forward were those rodents that terrify you. But what you need is spelled backward. You can't touch it, but you can see it at night. What is the password? The rodents the note speaks about are rats. Then the word Emma needs is star. The girl managed to open the door. She rushed out of the room but stopped abruptly. She saw a large armchair. A man was sitting in it. It was the man from the showers at the gym.
Here you are, he exclaimed cheerfully. I admit that at first I wanted to bring your boss down, but I've changed my mind. I want to play now. If you crack all my riddles, I'll give you the documents and let you go. Emma had nothing to do but agree. The man said, See, I have a room filled with gold. Once, 3 thieves sneaked into that room, but only 2 of them walked out. After they left, the room was empty. So, where was the 3rd thief? The 3rd criminal was in a wheelchair. He didn't walk. He rolled out of the room. Good job, the man shouted and pressed some buttons on the armrest of his chair. Emma screamed as she felt herself falling through the floor. It was pitch dark in the basement. Suddenly, a torch on the wall lit up. Emma saw 3 doors. Behind the first door, there was a dense jungle full of dangerous creatures. Behind the second door, there was a gigantic fire-breathing dinosaur whose breath could burn through any kind of material. And behind the third door, there was a lake filled with ice water. The water was so cold it needed just a few seconds to freeze literally anything. Which door should Emma choose? She should walk through the second door. Even if dinosaurs were still around, they wouldn't be able to breathe fire. It was the correct decision. The dino turned out to be a skillfully made statue. But there was just one door leading out of the room, and it was locked too. Ah! Emma was starting to get impatient. Luckily, there was another note with a hint. There were drawings on it: a banana, a sunflower, a rainbow, and an apple. Emma thought for a while, then pressed 4 numbers on the panel near the door. The code was correct, and the door opened. What numbers did the girl press? One, 3, 7, 1. Each digit corresponds to the number of colors of the objects in the picture. Emma saw a long corridor. She'd been walking for a while when she realized that the corridor was about to split into 3 passageways. They were signed West, East, South. She also saw this inscription on the wall. Which corridor should she choose? Emma tilted her head and looked at the inscription upside down. This way, it read, South. That's where she needed to go. Soon, the girl saw 3 doors on her way. On the floor, there were 3 keys that could open these 3 doors. What is the biggest number of attempts she will need to figure out the key for each door? Six.
3 attempts for the first key and all 3 doors, 2 attempts for the second key and the remaining 2 doors, and 1 attempt for the third key and the last door. Emma decided to go through the left door, and guess what? She ended up in the room with the armchair again. The man was there too. He asked her, "Today is Friday. You need to do something 72 days later. What day of the week will it be?" Emma understood it really fast. It would be Sunday. Look, 72 days equals 10 weeks plus 2 days. And 2 days from Friday, that's Sunday. The man was getting irritated. "Well, and how good are you at math? Look at this sequence. What are the next 2 numbers?" The next 2 numbers should be 20 and 28. There are 2 groups of numbers in this sequence, 11, 14, and 17, and 19, 22, and 25. In both of them, each next number is 3 more than the previous one. It means that in the first group, the next number is 20, and in the second group, 28. Then, the man offered Emma a bet. He said he would put 1 red and 1 blue marble in a box. If the girl picked the blue marble, he would let her go. But if she got the red marble, she would have to stay and help him around the house for a year. Emma knew that the man was going to cheat, because why would he take a risk like that? He would probably put 2 red marbles instead of 1 red and 1 blue. But how can she prove it? After thinking for a while, she managed to win the bet. How did she do it? Emma picked a marble and quickly put it in her mouth without showing it to the man. The marble that remained in the box was red. According to the rules, it meant that the marble Emma had chosen was blue. The man didn't want to admit that he had tried to cheat. "Okay, I'm not going to go back on my word, but here's the last riddle. If you crack it, you're free to go. How can you turn 6 into an odd number?" Emma didn't need to think much. She removed the letter S, which left IX. That's the number 9 in Roman numerals, and this number is odd. The man could do nothing. He gave Emma the documents and let her go. The girl was happy. Do you think she should pursue the career of a detective? Paul is having a family meeting. He asks 2 of his sisters to sell an equal amount of homemade cookies. The cost of each cookie is $1. Paul tells them, "You shouldn't eat the cookies that you're selling, and you should sell all the cookies." At the end of the day, all cookies are sold, yet neither sister gained nor lost $1. How is this possible? The first sister bought a cookie from the other one, and the second sister bought a cookie from the first one, and so on. In the evening, Paul is having a family dinner, but one of the guests is an imposter. Can you guess who? This gentleman is a ghost. He's levitating in the air. The next day, Paul arrives at his workplace and sees his coworker standing near this mirror. Lily says, "It's rumored that anyone who stood up in front of that mirror at 4:44 ended up disappearing forever." The guys decide to debunk that myth. Lily approaches the mirror at 4:44, but nothing happens. They laugh at the rumor and get back to business. After work, everyone goes home, but Lily stays for a little longer to finish her work. After doing that, she walks up to the mirror and disappears. The clock says 7:16. Why did it happen at the wrong time? The rumor was about the mirror time. 7:16 is the mirror image of 4:44. Paul wants to rescue Lily, so he goes to the most famous wicked witch in his town. The witch says,
"Okay, young man. I can get your friend out of the looking glass if you help me in the kitchen." Which one of these 7 potion pots will get full first?
Do you have any ideas? Outlets to the first and fifth pots are blocked at the initial point, so they won't fill. Nothing is connected to the sixth pot. The outlet under the second pot is also blocked in the end. Outlets to pots 3, 4, and 7 are blocked in the middle, so they won't fill. Therefore, no pot will ever fill. The witch is satisfied with Paul's answer. She shows him 4 doors and says,
Your friend is behind one of these doors. You only have 1 chance to pick the right one. Good luck!
"Can you help Paul find Lily?" There are flower symbols on each door. Paul should pick the door with a lily. Yes! Paul rescues Lily, and the witch offers him to fulfill 1 wish. Paul goes home to ask advice from his family. His blind father wants to restore his sight. His sister wants a puppy, and his mother wants to be super rich. Paul makes a wish, and all 3 people get what they want. What was Paul's wish? Here's what Paul told the witch. "My father wants to see our puppy digging in a pile of gold coins." Paul arrives at a luxury boat club to make a report. 4 millionaires are talking about their boats. There are a total of 8 boats, 2 in each color: red, green, blue, and yellow. Each millionaire owns 2 boats, but no millionaire has 2 boats of the same color. Alex doesn't have a yellow boat, Bob doesn't have a red boat, but he does have a green one. One of the millionaires has a yellow boat and a blue boat, and another millionaire has a green boat and a blue boat. Charles has a yellow boat. David has a blue boat, but he doesn't have a green one. Can you guess the colors of boats owned by each millionaire? Alex has a red and a green boat. Bob has 1 green boat and 1 blue boat. Charles has a yellow boat and a red one. And David has 1 blue and 1 yellow boat.
Dennis is a talented architect. He's designed a unique skyscraper, and right now, the construction works are starting. His boss asked Dennis to show around a group of specialists from a competitor company. The only condition was that they weren't allowed to take any photos. Dennis did as he was told, but when the group was going to leave, he asked security to detain one man. The architect claimed he had been taking photos during the tour around the site. How did he understand it? The man was carrying an umbrella. He kept pointing it at different objects, asking lots of questions. But the sky is cloudless. What does he need an umbrella for? A camera must be hidden there. Nathan came to his friend Zachary, who worked in a museum. "Look what I've got, a priceless manuscript that was written more than 1,000 years ago." Zachary looked through the manuscript and realized his friend had been fooled. Does anything in this text strike you as strange? If we talk about the dates before the Common Era, they should be in reverse order. The original text would read, King Alfred V ruled the country from 1320 to 1290 BCE. Detective Aaron Jones got a call late at night. It was his neighbor. "I've heard a very loud noise coming from the house next door. I'm afraid to go there to investigate alone, but what if something has happened?" When Aaron and his neighbor arrived at the place, they saw the entrance door open. They ran inside and found the house owner, Mr. Anderson, on the floor of his bedroom, tied and moaning in pain. He said he had been in bed reading a book, and then a man in a black mask broke into his room and hit him on the head. Then he tied Mr. Anderson, took all his money and other valuables, and disappeared. Detective Jones didn't believe the man. Why? Look at his bed. There isn't even a wrinkle on the cover. It's unlikely that the thief made the bed after tying Mr. Anderson, which means the man is lying. Look at this group of people and try to figure out who the man's wife is. It's the woman in purple. Both she and the biker are wearing matching wedding rings. Joan took part in an experiment, testing her logical thinking and analytical skills. She had to crack riddles to get to the next level. Right now, the girl is locked in a small room. The door will open automatically once she figures out the riddle written on a piece of paper. Which principle is this sequence based on? 8549176320. The numbers are lined up based on the alphabetical order of the first and second letters of their name. 8, 5, 4, 9, and so on. Joan managed to get out of the room and is ready for the next task. This time, the girl needs to join all the blue points on the screen, but she's allowed to use only 3 lines. How can she do it? She's drawn a triangle. Its 3 sides include all the dots. The next level is rather scary. Joan is locked in a room that's slowly filling with water. This process will only stop when the girl figures out how this equation can be true. 29 minus 1 equals 30. Even under these stressful conditions, Joan managed to crack the puzzle. She replaced the numbers with the Roman numerals, XXIX minus I equals XXX. Then she removed the 1 I from 29 XXIX and got 30 XXX. Wow, this was a riddle with a lot of excess. And finally, Joan is given the last test. She needs to figure out which object is the odd one and doesn't belong to the group. Can you do the same? It's the first object. It's the only one that doesn't have any individual traits. The second object is uniquely round. The third doesn't have a red line around it. The fourth shape is a different color, and the fifth one is smaller than the rest. 2 cars are driving through the city. They both started their journey at the same time. The green one is moving at a speed of 30 miles per hour. The yellow one is faster. Its speed is 50 miles per hour. And still, at one point, the green car comes across the yellow car. How is it possible? Well, the cars were traveling in opposite directions. Look at this teenager and 2 women behind his back. Who is his real teacher? The answer is in the reflection behind their backs. You can see that both women are holding pointers, but in the mirror, only one of them has it. She is the real teacher. 2 men are going to fill their watering cans with water from the river. Who will bring more water? The spout of the older man's watering can is situated lower than the spout of the other man's can, and the level of water can't be higher than the spout. It means the younger man will bring more water. Evelyn wants to visit one unusual restaurant, but to get there, one must know the password. The girl hides around the corner to figure it out. She sees a man come up to the security guard. The guard says 12. The man answers 6 and is allowed to come in. Then a young woman approaches the security guard. He says 6, and she answers 3. Evelyn is sure she has figured out the pattern. She comes up to the security guard and hears him say 4. The girl says 2, and isn't allowed to enter. Why? The password is always different. It's the number of letters in the word the security guard says. like the word 12 has 6 letters. That's why Evelyn should have answered 4. A manager of the most luxurious sea resort in the area called the police. She said someone had stolen a set of very expensive monogrammed bed linen. 3 guests left the hotel that morning: Mr. Sam Taylor, Mrs. Amanda Martin, and Mr. Michael Smith. The police detained one of the guests and indeed found the bed linen in their suitcase. How did the detectives figure out which person was the thief? As you can see, the hotel's name is Morning Star. This means the monogram on the bed linen was MS. The only person with the same initials is Mr. Michael Smith. Hannah called her friend, Detective Evelyn Marks, and asked her to come as soon as possible. While the woman was away walking with her dog, someone had gotten into her house and stolen her laptop. Hannah was sure it was her neighbor, Jeremy. Evelyn went to question the man, but he wasn't at home. She decided to wait for him in her car. Soon she saw Jeremy opening his entrance door. "I went fishing early in the morning. Don't you see that I've just come home?" But Hannah didn't believe Jeremy and took him to the police station. Why? The guy was wearing white sneakers, but it's been raining since early morning. If he was out fishing, how can his shoes look so clean? Detective Jacob Robinson was spending his vacation in the mountains. One morning, he found out someone had stolen a big sum of money from the owner of the hotel where he was staying. Jacob offered the man his help and questioned all the hotel guests. Emma said, "I felt unwell and spent all the evening in my room." Lewis explained to the detective that he had only arrived at 2 a.m. and had gone straight to bed. And Simon said, "I've got friends living here in the village. I went to visit them and returned in the morning, just an hour ago." Detective Robinson immediately realized who was guilty. Do you know it? It was Simon. Look at the snow around the hotel. It looks untouched, with no footprints whatsoever. Then how did Simon get back from the village? Mrs. Williamson told her daughter Maya she wasn't allowed to see her boyfriend Luke until she prepared for her exam. After that, the woman went shopping. When she was coming back, she spotted Luke, who was walking along the street. When Mrs. Williamson returned home, she immediately realized Maya had seen her boyfriend. How did the woman figure it out? When she was leaving, there were 5 roses in the vase on the kitchen table. Now there were only 4. And when she saw Luke, he was carrying a rose. Private Detective Sean was waiting for his client in the lobby of a large hotel. The client was running very late. That's why, to entertain himself, Sean was observing the hotel guests. He noticed a man at the reception desk. He had 4 suitcases, but refused when the porter offered to help him with the baggage. The man went to his room, only to reappear 5 minutes later with the largest of his suitcases. Half an hour later, he returned without the suitcase and went to his room. Soon, he rushed to the reception shouting, "My suitcases! They're gone!" Sean introduced himself and, together with the hotel management, joined the man in his room. Something seemed off about the guy, and soon the detective realized he was a fraudster. What did the man do? Each of his suitcases was smaller than the previous one. The man packed all of them into the largest suitcase and left with it. And then he pretended someone had stolen his things. Detective Taylor was chasing a dangerous criminal. Suddenly, the man entered a hospital, but there are hundreds of rooms there. Luckily, it was raining, and the criminal left footprints on the floor. The detective followed them and got into a small room. There were 3 people there. All of them were covered in bandages from head to toe. But one of them was a fake patient. Who? It's the man in the middle. He doesn't have a medical chart next to his bed. Allison met a stranger yesterday, and she immediately knew who he was. She hadn't seen this person before, and no one had ever described him to her. He wasn't a celebrity, and he wasn't doing anything unusual. So, how come she knew who he was? The man was the twin brother of one of Allison's friends. Bill is a shoe shiner. He offers his services to passers-by for free. Still, people who accept it end up paying him of their own will. How so? Bill shines only one shoe for free. People don't want to look bizarre with just one clean shoe and have to pay for the shining of the other one. The king told his 3 daughters to place 3 identical kettles with the same amount of water on the fire. The king promised that the husband of the daughter whose kettle would boil first would become his heir. His youngest daughter's kettle boiled first. How come? While the other daughters kept lifting their kettle's lids to check if the water was already boiling, the youngest one kept it closed. Up for some math? Nah, just kidding. You'll only need your logic. Find a way to get 200 out of 188 by just using one line. Use the line to cut 188 horizontally. This way, you'll get 2 100s. One person was 25 years old in 2000 and 20 years old in 2005. How is this possible? This person lived before Common Era. One man went to his friend's party and told his wife he'd be back before sunrise. He shaved and left home. He returned as promised before sunrise, but he was sporting a long, thick beard. How come? The man and his wife lived in a place with polar nights that can last for several months. A man was driving his car all the way from New York to Boston. Only at the end of the trip did he discover that one of his car's tires had been punctured from the very beginning. Still, he managed to reach his destination successfully, and his journey wasn't affected by this problem at all. How is it possible? The punctured tire was the spare one. The financial director of a big company finally persuaded new partners to sign a super important agreement. He then put this document into a folder and left it on the table in his office. When he arrived at work the next morning, the folder was gone. John gathered all the employees who were in the office at the time and questioned them. The cleaning lady said that she had been busy washing the floor and hadn't paid attention to anything around. The designer explained that he hadn't left his working place even once. What's more, being an artist, he didn't have any interest in agreement documents. The accountant admitted that he had entered John's office to have some documents signed. But once he noticed there was no one inside, he immediately left. Who took the folder with the agreement? It was the designer. John never mentioned which folder was gone. How would he know that the missing folder had an agreement inside? Eric wears either only black or only white socks. One morning, he was in a hurry getting ready for an important meeting with new partners. Suddenly, the power goes out. The guy has 10 white and 10 black socks in his drawer, but all of them are mixed. He doesn't want to look silly at work wearing different socks. If it's completely dark in the room and Eric can't see anything, how many socks should he pull out of the drawer to get himself 2 matching ones? Three socks are more than enough. In a set of 3 socks, he's bound to have 2 of the same color. A hungry vampire is following you in a lonely street one dark night. Suddenly, you see a house with its door wide open and decide to hide there. The vampire can't enter your shelter since you locked the door in the nick of time, but it's waiting for you outside. However, you still have some hope. There are 3 doors leading out of the house. When you open the first door, there's molten lava. No thanks. The second door leads to the room with tarantulas as large as your head. Yikes. As for the third door, you can definitely hear a huge dog barking inside that room, and you're kind of afraid of it. What should you do? Just wait till morning. Vampires can't stand daylight, and your pursuer will have to leave you alone. You're trapped in a room that's slowly getting filled with water coming from a faucet on the wall. There are no windows in the room, and the door is sealed shut. You have a mop and a big bucket. So how are you going to get yourself out of this one? Come on, just turn the faucet off. Now it's better. Jane told her boss someone had taken the document she prepared for the meeting. She added that she had noticed someone come in wearing a smart suit, gloves, and a black mask, safety first. This person also had 3 rings on their fingers. The boss didn't believe her. Why? She said the person was wearing gloves. Then how did she see 3 rings on their fingers? Jane must have simply forgotten to print those documents out. A super wealthy businessman, Mr. Carl Jenkins, has been taken and left locked up all alone in a dark room. His phone's almost run out of charge, so he can only write one message. He knows that someone might spy on his phone, so he decided to write a message with a code to a high school friend, John Smith, who runs a detective agency. He remembered that in high school, they would cipher messages to each other, so he used the same technique. The message was this. Can you guess what it means? Back in high school, they would shift one letter to the right each time they needed to write a secret code. To decipher it, you need to go one letter to the left. Their alphabet looks like this. The message is, "It was Eric." Having read the message, John knew immediately who his friend was talking about. Eric is the financial director of Carl's company. He had seen him once at a party a couple of years ago, so he knew what he looked like. John decided to investigate this case himself and help his friend out. He was sure there was something secret in Carl's mansion. Somehow he thought he knew that Eric would have the key to the mansion. The receptionist, Kelly, said he would always have lunch with different business partners at 2 p.m. sharp in his favorite cafe. When the detective drove up to the cafe, he saw Eric, the man with a beard, discussing business with someone. Either of them had a briefcase next to them, and the briefcases looked similar to each other. John was waiting for Eric and the second guy to leave the cafe. They went to the car, got in, and left both briefcases on the back seat. The detective followed them. They left the car in a parking lot, and luckily, they were careless enough to leave the car open. Which briefcase should the detective grab? The one that looks brand new. While they were walking to the car, the detective spotted a few scratches on the second man's briefcase. Both briefcases were locked with a cipher. Not to make the whole thing suspicious, the detective decided not to take it and cracked the code right in the car. Can you help him open the briefcase? The code is 000. The briefcase is brand new, and Eric probably didn't have time to set a code on it yet. Plus, Eric's the one who leaves the car open and unattended in a parking lot, so no wonder he uses a default code for his briefcase. Now that the detective has the key, he heads to the mansion. The front door isn't a problem with the key in hand. The study is upstairs. He's been there before, so he remembers the stairs leading up have a secret. If you step on the wrong stair, you'll instantly fall to the basement and won't be able to escape from it yourself. What step should John mind? It's the one with the slit in the middle. When you step on it, it opens and you get into a dark room with bats and spiders. Yikes! Alright, John is finally at the study door, and Carl would always use buttons to open it. You've got only one try. There are 3 buttons, yellow, green, and blue. Which one should the detective choose if he knows that Carl is a big fan of painting? A combination of blue and yellow gives green, so the door opens. Green light for our detective. He finally reaches the safe with top-secret documents that could help him find out the truth. Obviously, just like any other safe, it's locked with a code. It also has a warning. You can enter the code only once. If you hit the wrong code, the safe locks up forever. He's looking around for a hint, and voila! John is right. On the desk, he sees a note. It says, "Secret code," and has a combination of 3 digits, 3, something, and 1. The digit in the middle can't be seen since there's an ink stain right on it. Can you crack the code with one attempt only? The code is 371. The detective thought the code was used frequently, so the button must have been a bit worn out. He was right. Since he knew the beginning and the end, he only needed to find one more worn button. Alright, now he's got the top-secret documents he needed for his investigation. He looks through all the papers and finally finds something that looks like the document he actually needed. To take it as a hard proof, he needs to find one which is not fake. There are 4 copies. They look almost the same, but only one is real. Can you guess which one? It's the one in the upper left corner. It has a stamp, a signature, and it says agreement. The one next to it looks the same, but it has a spelling mistake. It says agreement. Other copies lack either a stamp or a signature. So the detective takes a closer look at this agreement and sees something about a painting bought in an auction. He suddenly understands that his friend Carl was taken so that someone could sneak into his mansion and grab that super expensive painting. He's looking at the wall with all the paintings Carl collected and realizes that no painting is missing. There are as many nails in the wall as there are paintings. Still, there's something strange about one of them. Can you spot what's wrong here? Even though all the paintings are present, there's one that lacks a frame. According to the agreement, the painting has been recently bought, and an art dealer helped Carl pick it. The expert was an honest man, and he helped Carl make sure all the other paintings in his collection were real. This time, the painting turned out to be nothing but a copy. Why did the expert suggest that Carl buy it? Although the painting cost nothing, its frame was a beautiful and expensive piece of art. The one who grabbed it definitely knew that. Kim and Ashley are best friends. They decided to spend summer vacation in Italy together. They were very lucky to buy cheap plane tickets. Their flight was at 10 a.m. Unfortunately, when the girls arrived at the airport, they realized it was the wrong one. Now they have 2 options. Take a high-speed train for $100 to go to the right airport, or stay here and buy tickets for a later flight for $400. What should they choose? The second option. Look at the clock on the wall. It's 9:55 a.m. The boarding for their flight is already over. They won't make it even if they take the high-speed train. Kim and Ashley bought new tickets. They went to the airport restaurant to drink coffee. But one weird detail scared Kim away. She suggested they should leave that place as soon as possible. What did Kim see? This woman over there is a zombie. Wow, how did she get through security? When it was finally time to board the plane, it turned out there were no more economy class seats left. Kim and Ashley were offered to fly in business class. There, the girls saw 3 people. When the flight attendant served them fresh juice, she whispered that Kim and Ashley were extremely lucky. They were about to travel next to a famous Italian billionaire. Can you guess which of these passengers is the billionaire? This glamorous lady is a good candidate, but it's very unlikely a billionaire will wear a 100% polyester coat. This guy's business suit is very elegant, but look at his shoes. They seem quite cheap and worn out. This funny gentleman must be the real billionaire. Although his outfit is rather casual, his gold watch looks very expensive. The glamorous lady began to chat with Kim and Ashley. She told them she had recently visited an exotic island with her friends. Then she showed the girls some pictures. When the lady went to the bathroom, Ashley whispered to Kim, "This woman is a liar. She photoshopped this picture." How did Ashley know that? It's all about the shadows. They all look natural except for this one. The glamorous lady took a sip of her juice and started coughing. Suddenly, she fainted and fell into the billionaire's arms. He was ready to shout for help, but Kim stopped him, saying the woman was faking it. How did she know that? Look at the content of her bag. It's full of the billionaire's pictures and magazine articles. She also has a tattoo with his portrait on her leg. This woman is obsessed with him. It was lunchtime, and the billionaire offered Kim to play a game. There were 3 boxes. One of them contained a meal. There was a statement on each box, but only one of them was true. Can you help Kim figure out which box has food inside? If the food is in the first box, there are 2 true statements. And if the food is in the third box, there are also 2 true statements. But we need just 1 true statement. That's why the food can only be in the second box. Kim opened the box. She saw a delicious meal and a bank card. The billionaire said, "Congratulations, you've won $5 million. Enjoy your trip." Kim and Ashley landed in Rome and went to get their luggage. It turned out that Ashley had had the same suitcase as 2 other passengers, and they had a little quarrel. Can you help distribute the 3 suitcases among these people? The first suitcase belongs to this woman. It's covered in her dog's hair. The second suitcase has some traces of a star sticker. You've probably noticed it before on Ashley's bag. And the third suitcase belongs to this man. Since Kim and Ashley were now very rich, they decided to find a real estate agent who could help them rent a luxurious villa. They wanted to spend their vacation there. The agent showed them 3 houses. Can you help the girls choose the best one? There are cockroaches in the first house. They won't make very pleasant neighbors. The second house is too old. There's a crack in the wall, which doesn't look safe. And the third house looks pretty good. As for the pool, it can be easily cleaned.
Yes!
Kim and Ashley left the villa and went sightseeing. When they returned, they found out that someone had stolen their passports from the safe. The girls called the police, and they interrogated 3 suspects. The chef was too busy making dinner for Kim and Ashley. The cleaner was dealing with the pool all day, and the gardener said he had been outside planting flowers. He didn't notice anything suspicious. Who's lying? The gardener. If he planted the flowers, where are they? The police returned Kim and Ashley their passports and arrested the gardener. The next day, the girls went shopping. Sellers wanted to take advantage of rich and naive tourists and offered them overpriced souvenirs. Only one of these 3 items is a good deal.
Oh.
Can you guess which one? Take a look at this Venetian mask. It says "Made in China," which means that this mask can't be real. This magnet is of very low quality. The word Italy is spelled with an error. It simply can't cost $100. This blue cheese doesn't look fresh, but it's normal for this kind of product. This delicacy is the only thing that Kim and Ashley can buy here for a fair price. The ladies went to the local museum and got lost in its corridors. They found a strange basement with 3 doors. There was a time portal to the Middle Ages behind the first door. Behind the second door, there was an evil mummy. It cursed anyone who bothered it. Finally, the third door was protected with a laser alarm system. It cut through anything that touched the laser beams. Which door should the girls choose? The second one. The mummy is sleeping peacefully inside its sarcophagus. If Kim and Ashley are quiet and don't come close, they can just walk by it. When the girls got outside, they saw a crowd of reporters around the museum. Someone has stolen the most expensive painting. The police questioned 3 suspects. Giovanni, the cleaner, said he had been washing the bathroom when the theft happened. Luca, the museum guide, saw a suspicious woman with a large folder not far from the crime scene. And Bianca, the suspicious woman, was just drawing sketches as part of her art school homework. Who's lying? Luca. He has a rolled canvas under his shirt. Kim and Ashley came to a restaurant to enjoy the local cuisine, but they noticed a vampire among the visitors, so the girls decided to leave. Which visitor is the vampire? This elderly lady is wearing sunglasses in the evening. Also, she doesn't have a shadow. Okay, get ready. Today I'll show you different riddles, and you'll have to decide which girl is behaving least wisely, which is a nicer way of saying she's a dunderhead. You'll have 7 seconds to decide. The riddles may award 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points. So grab a piece of paper and give yourself the points each time you get it right. We'll start with the easiest questions that earn 1 point each. Autumn and Hope are going for a walk with their friends. It's 60 degrees outside. Who is dressed in the worst way? Hope. Autumn can take some of her clothes off, but Hope doesn't have anything to wear in case she feels cold. Ava and Olivia are camping in a forest. Suddenly, they encounter a bear on their trail. Ava stands still, and Olivia starts to run away. Who is in danger? Olivia. The bear might see her as prey and follow, and he's definitely faster. So it's better to keep your cool and slowly move backwards, keeping the eye contact. Haley and Savannah are making sandwiches for lunch. Who did something terribly wrong? Haley. She put rat poison in the sandwich instead of jelly. Delaney is on the road trip and stopped to make a couple of pictures. Lenore is riding a bike to a nearby city. Who isn't being smart? Delaney. She parked her car right under the sign that says "Parking isn't allowed." Jane and Charlotte are learning how to swim. Jane went to the lake with her little siblings, and Charlotte went to the ocean with her friends. They both jumped in the water alone. Who is in greater danger? Jane. In case she struggles, her little siblings won't be able to pull her out. McKenna and Desiree are late for school, so they're taking a shortcut. McKenna takes the way through the woods, and Desiree decides to go across a frozen lake. Who's in danger? Desiree, there are cracks on the lake's surface. Ruby and Mary were enjoying their time outside when a storm started. Ruby hid in her car in the open space, and Mary kept swimming in the ocean. Who is not safe? Mary should get out immediately. It's dangerous to touch water during a thunderstorm. It's okay to hide in a hardtop vehicle as Ruby did. Okay, easy questions are over. Next questions will give you 2 points each. Paige and Riley are going on a date, but they tell their parents they're practicing instead. Paige plays tennis and Riley plays soccer. Who's the worst conspirator? Riley. She's dressed inappropriately for a soccer game. Unlike Paige, she doesn't have any change of clothes or equipment with her. Quinn and Sandra are working in a garden. Quinn was told to water the flowers, and Sandra should mow the lawn. Who's doing something wrong? Quinn. She was told to water the flowers, but she's watering the trees. Everly and Jasmine drove to a mall. Everly left her belongings in the car, and Jasmine locked her dog there while she's shopping. Who's being more stupid? Jasmine. You shouldn't leave animals or people in a closed car, especially in the hot sun. It's the wrong way to get a hot dog. Mia and Stella wanted to get a tattoo and skip their classes to get home right after school. When they get home, they immediately run into their parents. Who's going to get in trouble? Stella. Her tattoo is right on her wrist, and there's no way her parents won't notice it immediately. Hannah's best friend is teaching her ice skating, and Lily is learning to ride a bike with her older brother. After several minutes, they feel like they've got it and ride away from their supervisors very fast. Who's least careful? Lily. Hannah has the railing by her side that she can grab in case she falls. Lily will crash to the ground. Kylie and Abby are bloggers getting ready for a party. Who is missing something? Kylie. She's charging her cell phone, but the cord is unplugged. Melanie and Delilah are walking home from work late in the night. Which of the two isn't being careful? Melanie. Although she's walking in a less creepy place, there are no people around. If something happens, no one will be around to help her. Sophia and Brooke went camping in the forest. Suddenly, they notice a moose moving towards them. Who is in greater danger? Sophia, who is wearing heels and will run slower. Brooke can drop her huge backpack and use it as an obstacle. Kira and Ava want to go to a party, but their parents banned them from leaving the house. Kira decided to sneak out using the attic window, while Ava used the back door. Who won't make it to the party tonight? Ava. Kira is quite risky, but Ava's dad is reading a newspaper in the backyard. Maya and Chloe went for a walk. Maya went to a forest and stopped to take selfies with a friendly squirrel she met. Chloe went hiking and decided to take a selfie on the cliff. Who is in danger? Maya. The branch above her is about to fall. Maeve and Sarah are cheating on their math test. Who is more likely to be caught? Sarah. Although she's sitting in the back, the teacher's looking right at her. Bella and Ashley came home from a party, which they told their parents would be a study date. Who's going to be grounded till the end of the month? Bella. She'll have a hard time coming up with a logical explanation for the confetti in her hair. Elizabeth and Kate are late for work, so they're driving above the speed limit. Which of them is in greater danger? Kate. She has many objects lying scattered in her car. In case of an accident, they may hit her.